Senator Max Baucus is calling for mandatory health insurance. Families without it could be slapped with fines of up to $3,800. The senator's not available today, but my next guest, he's not a fan of this plan. Republican Senator Saxby Chambliss joins me now. Sir, if you get fines levied on people who refuse to go out and buy their own insurance, they will turn around and say, I can't afford it, the taxpayer's got to pay for me. Isn't that what's going to happen?
Well, I think there's a common thread that comes out in each one of these Democrat proposed plans, Stuart, and that is a fine, which is a tax. Why do we have to tax individuals to cover them with insurance when we've got a tax code that provides for tax credits and tax deductions that ought to be available to these individuals? So you're exactly right. The heavier the tax on individuals, the more likely they're going to move to a government plan. And I don't care what kind of option or what kind of proposal you call with a trigger, you better believe that the plan the administration is going to propose is going to have a finger already on that trigger.
I've looked at some of the proposals coming out of the Senate Finance Committee, Senator Max Baucus, and he's looking at a $6 billion annual fee levied on the private insurance companies, $2.5 billion levied on the drug companies and medical equipment makers, higher premiums for people who have relatively wealthy, well-endowed premiums. Yeah, but it seems like the plan is to squeeze private enterprise for money, divert that money to the public system.
Well, I don't think there's any question about that. The administration wants a proposal on its desk, Stuart, that does move this country towards a universal health care or a government-sponsored health care system. And whatever plan they come up with looks like that it's geared in that direction. Now, Senator Baucus does have a couple of good provisions in his plan, I understand. The preventive health care issue is good. I think we need to move in that direction. But he also has some things like the Medicaid issue you were just talking about. My state of Georgia is struggling right now to operate within a balanced budget, and going from 100% of poverty to 133% for Medicaid covered individuals costs us almost $1 billion a year that we don't have.
Yeah.
So there are real issues here that have got to be ferreted out, and I think what you're looking at is folks on my side anxious to see what the president has to say tomorrow night. I think he's going to have to express some humility based on what we've seen around the country during August, and that's not his inclination.
Can you help us count the votes, Senator? If he came up with a compromise, for example, no government care now, and some talk of tort reform, do you think that will be enough to get 60 votes in the Senate?
Well, if he talks about meaningful tort reform, there again, when it comes to preventive health care and helping control the cost of health delivery as well as health insurance, then that's a positive. But, you know, the devil is in the details, and what we've got to make sure of is that this proposal that he's talking about now is not a backdoor to a true government-run plan. That's the concern of people all across my state as I went around this August, and I know that's the reaction of folks all across the country.
What was your first reaction when you heard this up to $3,800 fine for people who did not go out and get their own insurance? What was your first reaction to that?
Well, when I saw that it would affect individuals making $66,000 or less, I know how individuals in my state are struggling right now just to make ends meet and to try to educate their children as well as put food on the table. And if all of a sudden you throw another $3,800 in the way of taxes on top of those individuals, they can't do that. I mean, they just can't.
Senator Saxby Chambliss, Republican, Georgia. Thanks for joining us, sir. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Unions showering the president's new manufacturing czar with praise. Is that because he's going to help them become even more powerful?